Hey, hey.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Stop
All
recording.
right. Well, what you
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Giselle Wilson. I am the BBA career coach and also the internship career coordinator. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for attending this panel. First, we would like to thank all of our panelists, and in a moment, they're going to go through and introduce themselves. But before we do that, we are going to introduce our team. And the College of Business Career Services team, I'm pretty sure if you've interacted with our office in some type of way, you have seen one of our beautiful faces. Uh-oh. So first, we have Brett Hobby. He is our director of the College of Business Career Center. Doing that. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm not sure if it's on a timer, and I did not know. Next, we have Maxine Todd, and she is our MBA career coach and our employer development. It must be on a timer. I'm so sorry. We're going to go back one more time. And then lastly, we have myself. Like I said, I am the BBA career coach, and not pictured, we also have Pat Gammon, and she is our administrative assistant. So a couple of things we're going to be talking about internships, of course. I want to, this must be on a timer and I don't know it. I want to go over the Davies I program, and basically we have this internship program set for all of our College of Business students, and basically that is a program that we have set in place to help you gain an internship. So if you want more information on the Davies I program and how to get started, you can see all of that on our website and on your Gator Hired account. Last but not least, with all of these technical difficulties, we have one more event coming up, and that is our virtual dining etiquette workshop, and that will be November 12th from 3 to 4. There is still time to register for that event. It's open to all College of Business students. You can scan the QR code to get the Gator Hired app, where you can see all of our events and the things that are happening throughout the campus and throughout our office. So you can register for that event. All right. So now let's go ahead and go through our lovely panelists, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and we are going to, there we go. We are going to start with Steve.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve. I'm an accounting major at UHD. I'm currently in my senior year.
Thanks so much, Steve. Shwasi, would you like to go next?
Hello everyone, my name is Shawways. I'm a senior here, supply chain management student, graduating hopefully this semester.
Thanks, Shawways. Sorry. Brandon?
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Van Smith. I'm a post-baccalaureate accounting major, graduating spring of 2021, and I just finished a summer internship with the Boeing Company.
And Elijah?
My name is Elijah Kabalka. I am a senior in the Insurance Risk Management program, and I did an internship with a local insurance company called SGA.
Okay, and Shamika.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shamika Jefferson. I am an MBA student at UHD. I am with Accounting and Project Management. I internship this summer with PwC as a start intern, and I am going back next summer for an advanced tax internship. Hello.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And again, thank you for being here. So a couple of housekeeping things before we get to the questions that you guys have submitted. Throughout the course of this panel, if you do have any questions, be sure to put them in the Q&A box. We'll be monitoring those questions, and we'll have some set time at the end to go through the questions that you guys are asking. So just be sure to put all your questions in the Q&A box. We're not really going to be watching for the chat. So just make sure you put all your questions in the Q&A box. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the questions. I know some of our panelists have kind of already answered this question, but when did you do your intern and who did you intern with? And let's go ahead and just start with Elijah. You're in my top little box.
I did my internship over this past summer. As I actually was planning on doing with another company until COVID had came into the marketplace, and they canceled that internship. So I was in the market for another internship, and I unfortunately got one with a company called Southern General Agency. They are an insurance agency, producing agency here out of Texas. During that time, I was able to gain some valuable skills that not only advanced my knowledge through my degree plan, but it's also actually advanced my career as well.
Brandon, can you tell us when and who did you do your internship with?
Was that question for me?
Yes.
Okay. I did my internship with the Boeing company this summer, and I started June 19th and finished up September 18th.
Thank you so much.
And what was the next part to your question? I'm sorry.
It was just when, so you got it.
Yeah.
Steve, can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your internship? Who did you internship with and when?
Okay, I interned with PwC this past summer in the month of July. It was initially supposed to be a 6 weeks internship starting from mid-June to the end of July. Then COVID happened and the internship was rescheduled for 4 weeks only for the month of July.
Okay, thank you. And Shamika, you mentioned that you interned with PwC as well, but in their START program.
Yes, it was, we did it this summer. Both of us was in the start internship. It was basically, we have to figure out what we wanted to be in. So it was audit, tax, or risk insurance. So I picked tax, Steve picked audit. So it was like we learned a lot in them 4 weeks. They jam-packed us, I was like, wow. But we learned a lot, learned a lot of skills. So that's all that matters. So it just made us know, helped us go forward to the next internship.
Great, thank you. And Shwasi?
This past summer, I interned with Amazon as an area manager. Originally, my internship was supposed to be for 10 weeks, starting from the beginning of June, going into halfway through August. But they cut it down to about 8 weeks, which was not too big of a deal. So it was about the beginning of June to the end of July.
Okay. So I have this question for you. So did you apply for your internship before the pandemic or kind of during when everything started?
I applied to it much before. I applied to it around September of last year. September, October-ish of last year. That's when I had started doing applications for summer internships for 2020. So out of all of them, I think out of maybe 80 applications that I sent out, Amazon was the one that kept it through the pandemic.
Okay, wow. And how long was that application process from you applying to getting some sort of confirmation that you've been hired?
It took a long time. The application itself was short, maybe 10, 15 minutes doing it on my laptop. And it wasn't until about maybe 6 to 8 weeks until I heard back from them saying that they were going to move me on to interviews. They scheduled me one phone interview about 2 weeks after that point. And that phone interview lasted about 15 to 20 minutes. And then from there, another 2 weeks later, I received another email from them saying that they were going to move me on to video interviews, which was another 2 weeks down the line from there. The video interviews were a little long. It took about 3 hours in time, and I went from 3 different supervisors interviewing me. But it went well, the 3 hours, all 3 of them. And then about 1 week after that, I got an offer letter. So I didn't get my offer letter until about January, close to February.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's a lengthy process, especially with that interview. So what about you, Steve? How long, did you apply for your internship during the pandemic, or was it much before?
Okay, I applied for my internship much before the pandemic. It was in the beginning of October. And I remember that I accessed the application through the website of the Career Center. Then the recruiter reached out to me, like after I submitted my first application, she reached out to me. She asked me the question, like, in which year I was. I told her like I was currently in my junior year. Then she told me like, I think you too early for this, but we'll keep your file in touch. I mean, your file in the system, then we let you know. So what I did, I kept on sending like multiple applications again, like for various offices. And then she reached out to me again. Then she told me, what was your year in again? I told her like, I'm a junior. Then that's when she told me, hey, we have this program and I think you might qualify for. So I applied for the start internship, and within 10 days, they got back to me. They said like, we're moving you forward to the interview process. And they scheduled the interview for the following week. And in that following week, I had like 2 interviews, like back to back with one audit partner and the second one with the tax partner. And they told me like they were gonna get back to me by the following week again. I told them, okay, I had no problem waiting. And I remember like the following day, I was sending out my my thank you notes, and they received it. They were like so amazed. They were so happy to receive the thank you note. Then they told me, we get back to you like next week. I was like, okay, cool. And then by the end of the day, they called me. They told me like, oh, we're giving you the offer anyway. I was surprised. I was expecting the call like for the following week, and then they took me like off guard. I didn't know what to say. I was like really shocked. And they told me like, we understand that you're shocked. You can't believe it, but yeah, this is happening. You have the offer, and that's how it happened. Like it was basically like 3 weeks at the maximum.
Wow, that's a pretty good turnaround. What about you, Shamika?
Okay, I got my offer from NABA. I am the NABA president, the National Association of Black Accountants. We have a conference every year. So basically I went to that conference and I talked to several people, and PwC gave me an interview, and they did interview me like the next day. And after the interview, we talked, they basically wanted to talk casual, know about you. So that's what I did. I asked myself and they loved it. So basically like the next month, they told me I was moving to the next step. So next month I had interviewed with 2 tax partners, and Like basically the lady was like at the end of one of the last interview, she was like, "You got it." I'm like, "Really?" So when she was like, "Okay." So basically like next week they sent me my offer letter, and that was it. Like it was like it seemed like it was like too easy, but the thing is we can't just be stressed over it, because as long as you've been yourself and you're knowledgeable about the company and you can flow with it, you got it under wraps.
Oh, well, that's awesome. So what about you, Elijah?
Well, my situation was a little different. I had originally started applying for internships in the fall semester. I got a offer in January, before the pandemic hit, to begin mine in May. Then in about mid-April, they decided due to the pandemic that they were going to cancel all internships. At that point, I had already applied for the class and gone through the approval process with UHD. So I had to reach out through contacts through LinkedIn to locate another internship. Fortunately, within about, I would say, 3 days of the semester starting, I was able to actually secure another internship. The process for that one, fortunately, only took about 2 weeks due to having prior contacts with the company. But the process for the first one, it dealt with the traditional submit an application, wait 6 weeks to get an interview, meet with somebody, wait another 6 weeks for the response.
And just to give everyone a little background, the class that Elijah mentioned is a class that everyone can take to receive course credit for an internship. So in the future, if you are interested in gaining course credit for your internship, that's a possibility as well. Okay, thank you. And Brandon, what about you?
Well, like Shamika, I went to the NABA conference. I'm also an e-board member of NABA, UHD NABA chapter. I'm the secretary. And so at the NABA conference, that first day, they have a career fair. And I went to every booth, and the last booth that I went to was Boeing. I didn't know anything about Boeing, even though I saw a big plane in their backdrop. But I got an interview. They told me to come back the next day, which was that Saturday, to come and do an interview early in the morning. I did that interview, and then on Sunday morning, I got a call stating that I had been offered the internship position. So it was literally like 24 hours after I did my interview that I got offered the position.
Wow, so we see a good variety of timelines. Some take a few months, some with really quick turnaround. So there's not really a standard that company uses. It's really just depending on the company and how fast they are. Okay. So we'll keep asking you, Brandon, and then we'll go back around. How did you prepare for your interview? And if you didn't have any of the necessary skills that they were looking for, how did you gain those skills? But really, just how did you prepare for the interview?
So I had very little time. So that night, of course, I did my research in the hotel room, because the NAB conference was at a hotel. We were staying there over the weekend, and I did as much research as I could find, just trying to see what kind of questions they would ask me. I had gotten some preparation, some interview preparation, doing mock interviews at the Career Center. So that helped with just like answering the most likely asked questions. That really helps. Just knowing the company's culture, maybe knowing their mission statement really helps. What they're about, what they do, of course, is important. And then maybe going over the job qualifications really knowing what those are, and then if they ask you, have you done this before, or would you be able to do this, being able to answer those questions with a previous task that can apply to any of those qualifications that are listed in that job listing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Elijah, how did you prepare?
My preparation came from not only researching the company, but looking at competitors of the company, looking for other things that, just not their internship, but competitors' internships. What qualifications, what questions have they asked their, interns in the past? Another thing that, prepared me is taking that knowledge that you learn in the class and being able to relate that back to the internship questions. They may ask you questions such as, well, what do you know about this subject matter? If I knew about it, being very honest, saying I studied that in this particular class and this is what we did to learn more about this subject matter. And another thing that prepared me for the internship interview was also doing that research on LinkedIn, looking who's going to be on that panel, what are their qualifications, what are their roles, so you're not just nervous, oh, there's a random person on a screen, because with COVID, everything is through video interview nowadays. And probably after COVID, it's going to be video interview. It's a different generational thing that you got to be comfortable in front of video screen and not seeing that person face to face. So it was a little bit different in that frame. And I did spend some time playing with Zoom to make sure I did fully understand how to use the system and how to be ready to do a video interview.
Thank you. So Shamika, I see that you were agreeing with a lot of stuff Elijah was saying.
Yes,
Can you tell us how?
Yes, because as soon as I found out who was interviewing me, I went go right on LinkedIn and looked at it. I was like, okay, so this person is this how long they've been with the company, basically like that, whatever they post and what their likes and whatever. I don't know. I just wanted to research them because I bet they did the same thing for me, so I was just doing what they did. Also, like I looked up the company, looked up their core values and see if it matched with mine and make sure I like blend that in with the internship questions and stuff like that. And also because my interviews was really laid back. They didn't really ask me no questions like what is accounting principles or anything. They just wanted to know about me. So that's why I was like, all right, I can say that about me all day. So so that was great. And we talked and we had similarities and everything. So basically I was just being myself. And when you come as who you are, that's even more, because you can't pretend for so long. Why pretend? Be yourself, be comfortable, because you will have to be at that job. So that's what I did.
Oh, thank you. Steve, how did you prepare for the interview?
Yes, my preparation, I went online and I checked the company, I checked for PwC, I checked the revenues and the core value like Shamika mentioned. And then I went on LinkedIn, checked the partners that were interviewing me. I realized that they've been at the firm for over 20 years. So that was already where I got my first question to ask them. So I kept it there. And at the interview, I realized that all the questions that I prepared for, none of them were related to the interview. It was laid back, conversational. So the only question that they asked me was just, tell me about yourself. That was the first question. It's universal, everybody asks you that. Mm-hmm. And from there, the conversation started flowing. We went off topic. We never talked anything about accounting. We just talked about life. And that was pretty much my interview. And I had back-to-back interview with two partners. It was we just having conversation. It was a video interview. So yeah, I was just having questions. I got to a point where I asked myself, was I really in an interview or was I preparing for something else? But then when we got done, they were like, okay, that's it for today. We get back to you the next week. I was like, okay, thank you very much.
Awesome, thank you. So Shwazi, so you went through a lot of interviews and a 3-hour interview. So how did you prepare for that, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, from my prior experience, I know that usually first phone interview is usually kind of just about yourself. You know, so for that, I wasn't told who was going to be interviewing me. So what I just wanted to do was just make sure that I had my interview skills down that I had gotten from my last summer internship, where I had gotten assistance from the Career Advising Center on interview tips and things like that. So that one phone conversation that was about 10, 15 minutes was mostly just personal questions, you know, where am I in my academics? What am I looking to get into career-wise, things like that. What do I enjoy about supply chain? All of those kind of things. From there, then when I got the notification that I was going to be having the video interview, I was also not told who was going to be interviewing me, but I was told that it was going to be 3 different supervisors, and each would be an hour long, and they're back to back to back. So immediately I had just started Googling Amazon interview process, tips, things like that. And I found a good amount of information on a couple of websites, Glassdoor, Fishbowl, people talking about their experience, and even a whole different like blog post on a random website talking about the same exact thing. So that I had 3 interviews back to back to back. Each was an hour long. These are kind of the things that they were asking me. So I just scoured the internet as much as I could, finding any tips or anybody else's past experience. I looked at LinkedIn for recruiters, for Amazon, for college recruiters. I found a couple, but the email that I got told me that I was going to be interviewed by the role I was actually going to be interning at, the supervisors for those roles. So I figured there's about thousands of them in the US, so I'm not going to figure out who they are. I reached out to about 2 or 3 past interns who had done this exact same internship I found on LinkedIn, reached out to them and asked them the same things. How did the interview go? I'm applying for this right now. How was the job itself? Because I wanted to get a firsthand experience of somebody's recollection of it who's been through it. So I found somebody who had done it from Houston at University of Houston main campus through a mutual friend on LinkedIn. Talked to them, got some tips and pointers from them, what they usually ask. And a lot of what they asked was personal, but it was more like work situational. There were a lot of situational questions. If you're encountered with a situation, how would you react? If you're managing this group of people and one employee is doing this, how would you reach out to him? Things like that. And it was a lot of the same questions through each one of those 3 interviews, but with different spins. One person is looking for this type of situation. It's the same situation, but somebody's looking for this type of course of actions or this. But it was all very relaxed. The environment was very relaxed. The supervisors were all very nice. It seemed like they had just taken like an hour break from their day just to come and do the interview. Because you could see them kind of like looking up and around every once in a while. Somebody's walking in the room and they're like, yeah, I got it. So they were very relaxed. It didn't feel like I was getting pressed. I've had interviews in the past where I'm getting, my technical skills are being, pressed very hardly. What's your experience with Excel? Can you do this? Can you walk me through the steps of making a pivot table? But it was nothing like that with Amazon. It was just mostly just very relaxed situational questions, behavioral questions, and that was about it.
Okay. So I believe your internship was face-to-face, or was it virtual?
It was originally face-to-face, and within the last 30 days before it started, they moved it to virtual.
Okay. So can you give us a little bit about the kind of like the day in the life of what a normal work day would look like?
Sure. So Amazon did a great job of kind of showing us what our internship would have been like if we were actually on site. So as an area manager, you are in one of their fulfillment centers. And if you're not familiar with that, it's these huge warehouses that I'm sure you've seen in Houston. There's a bunch of them now. So there's office rooms in there, and then there's the working floor with all the conveyor belts and all the boxing and multiple stations. So Amazon had broken up our weeks into 2 different parts. One was a kind of like an Amazon management class that was twice a week. And then the other 3 days of the week were actually role-specific area manager duties. So we were grouped into different groups of about 12 interns, and there was a mix of area manager interns, accounting interns, HR interns in our group that we would see for that master class of leadership or Amazon management for those 2 days. And then we get broken up into our area manager groups for the other 3 days. And every day started off the same. We'd have like a town hall meeting where we had one Amazon representative. Either he was a senior management supervisor or he was actually the VP of procurement or the VP of accounting or the VP of operations, come and talk to us for about an hour, give us some inside stories, give us some motivational quotes, some words of wisdom to start our day. And then we'd go into different smaller groups from that, where they would kind of break us down into smaller assignments and things like that, working on role-specific things. Kind of a lot of it was hands-on video training. All of it was all Amazon stuff. So every software I touched was made by Amazon. It was a little weird. I felt like I was in like a different dimension. Like I didn't use Zoom or Skype or anything. It was Amazon Chime. So everything was a little weird, but it was very intuitive. Their technology is top in the world, I think, how to leverage technology with their operations. So we had about 2 to 3 hours of that before we had a lunch break, and then we'd come back, and then it would be intern-only discussion groups. So we would sit down, just interns. They would give us a prompt that we'd have to discuss together and do like a small like critical thinking assignment, problem-solving assignment, kind of write that up together. Each of us do our own thing. And there was a portal where we could submit stuff like that, our own work like that. And that was basically our day.
Awesome. Thank you. Brandon, so what was it like interning with Boeing? What was the day in the life?
With Boeing, they started, well, we were on different time zones because I was supposed to be in Seattle. And since COVID happened, they decided to make the internship virtual. So that had a lot of logistics with it. So they had to ship us our equipment. And so I would start at about 9 and they would start at about 7. And then we would work our times that way. And then I would end maybe about 5:30 or 6. And they would kind of be finishing up their day, maybe in the next 2 hours. But they were like, you can go, but I was very engaged with them. So like I said, I would start probably about 9 and end at about 6 every day. And I would meet with my mentor manager. I had several managers, but the main one that I worked with was a mentor manager. And I really appreciated that because she really walked me through all of the steps of the position, because it was like, we were interns, but they presented it like we were actual employees, which I really appreciated. Like, you're here, you're an intern, but we're gonna treat you like an actual employee that's actually working this position, and you're gonna go and take on projects that this position is required to do. And so she will walk me through all the process and just let me know how important each project was, which gave me more insight, but then also made me feel better because it was like, oh, I'm doing projects that are, and I'm handling $1 million of work here. And it's like, it didn't make me go crazy, but it was kind of like, you're doing something really, really important here. So yeah, but it was like a normal work day, just a little longer. And I really appreciated the whole experience that they really kept it on and didn't cancel it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Steve, you want to tell us a little bit about the day in the life of PwC as an intern?
Yeah, the day in the life as a PwC intern was very enjoyable, I would say, because what we had to do, since my intern, I was a staff intern, so it was designed to help graduating coming student to decide which line of service they wanted to do, whether you want to go to audit, tax, or advisory. So most of our days were spent during doing trainings, learning softwares, and engaging with other students, other interns, as well as participating in meetings, panels, talking to other professionals and listening to their experiences, what they went through and how they achieved, how they got to where they were. So yeah, it was like really enjoyable, and I really learned a lot, like especially the training part. It was really challenging at times, where you basically have to learn like new stuff. And there were some stuff that I never realized, like as an accounting major, those were the things that I was supposed to be knowing, right? And it was really an amazing experience, like learning all those softwares and putting them in practice, and like getting that exposure into what a professional accountant, like in the public world, public sector, is supposed to do.
Thank you. Shamika, I know you went into a different field, but still within PwC. How was the day in the life with your internship?
Basically, me and Steve did the same thing. We was a part of a group. We had part of got on a team, and we had to basically do a presentation, like build up a presentation about and learn different. I've lost my thought. My bad. With presentation, we had to learn different stuff. Like basically, we had one day we learned about Excel, learn more skills about Excel. If you didn't know it, if you didn't know it, you learn more. We learned some skills about Ultrix, Tableau, and UiPath. So they basically showed us different ways that we could learn how to develop the presentation, and that's how we basically did. It was a long day. Basically, we did it all day, and they let us do all the refresher moments and stuff like that. But the only thing key about internships online is like, at least when you're in person, you can go home and you're not going to worry about, oh, I had to finish this or whatever. That's for the next day. With internships on virtual, it's like, I have to continue this. I want to know more. I want to do this. I want to do that. You know, it was different experience, but I wouldn't take it away for anyway, because I learned a lot. And what I didn't know, I asked my team members. Like Steve helped me. I had 3 more people help me. Even we had team leads and everything. So we were still able to reach out to people, just like we was able to reach out to people if we're in person. So our team leads was amazing. They were chill, laid back. They let us know anytime we needed help, reach out. So it was a relaxed feel, and I enjoyed it. Even though it was like some of the stuff I was like, but when I was weak in, somebody else was great in. So we basically teamed up, and that's how it is with accounting firms. We always be a part of a team. So that's a good thing. You always could count on someone to help you out no matter what.
Awesome, thank you. And Elijah?
Well, my internship was originally supposed to be in person with the original company, then it switched to a virtual due to COVID. Each day was a different task, different project. Maybe they lasted a day, 2 days, but we would start every morning off with a video conference discussing what the duties, tasks, or goals for the day were, going over any material, any information that may need to be discussed. Then I was released on my own to complete the project. Throughout the day, if there's any questions, concerns that would come up, it was either reach out by phone, reach out by video chat, conference in, but a lot of it was almost a self-managed internship, to a point that you're not going to see somebody coming to check on you constantly as in a face-to-face situation. You're being relied on. They assume that you have the skills. They assume that you have the confidence and, ethics to get the work done on your own, just as if it was a regular job, but via virtual, formatting. One of the things, that came along with the position was you are working with different types of people. Unfortunately, due to COVID, and just like any in the workplace, you're going to experience some people that are tech savvy, that have that experience working on the virtual side. But then you also have boomers or Generation Xers that are not going to be so savvy with certain types of things. So when I got into working with certain types of management that were not as computer savvy in the sense of using Zoom, using other features, not only was I able to assist them with learning that feature, but they also taught me some other skills as well.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I know we have about 15 minutes left, so I want to get to some of your questions that you submitted in the Q&A. So, and anyone can answer if you just want to chime in. What are some of the most essential qualifications, quantities for successful interns? Qualities for successful interns.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What are some of the most essential qualities for successful interns?
I'll answer. I think the essential qualities to be successful or to be a successful intern, especially in the virtual environment, is to be engaged. There are times, well, from my manager, from the upper level manager, he said that there were students that would come, or, you know, with the computer, we would have our, we were working remotely, but they can see when you weren't online. And so he said there was a lot of times that they would be reaching out or they needed things from the intern and the intern wasn't there during the working hours like they should have been. And you have to have that discipline in the virtual world to, when they say like, we need you from this time to that time, that you're there and available from those times that they need you, whether they have work for you or not. And if you don't have work, let them know, like you're like, okay, I finished this project, but I can take on something else. Be engaged, but be driven and be motivated to take on additional tasks that shows them that, you know, that you really want to be there and that you're that employee that they need in their company. Because an intern, it's basically you're auditioning for that role and you want to put your best foot forward at all times to show that I'm this employee that you want to hire.
Awesome, thank you. So another question we have is, how can a student juggle through schoolwork, a part-time job, and obtain an internship?
I can take this one because I did that. Last summer, I interned with Stoll Tank Containers, and the College of Business Career Advising Center is the only reason I had that internship, start to front. It was only the College of Business to help me get it. Now, at the same time, I was working at a banquet hall that was paying my bills, and I was taking 3 summer classes. Now, you have to know what you are capable of. That's the first and foremost thing. You got to know what you're able to do, and you have to be really good at scheduling. If you've never done it before, take it easy. You know what you're good at, what you're not good at. If you're good at multitasking and juggling things, know that you can do that. But know how much time you spend on each thing. Know that if you're taking 3 classes, you're going to spend about 12 hours outside of classroom time working on those classes, and see if you can fit it all and live a healthy lifestyle. For me, it was kind of like, okay, 3 classes is too much while I'm doing an internship and still kind of working part-time. So I cut down my part-time hours. I had to do that. I had to make that change and be able to realize that, you know, when enough is enough, that you need to maybe ask for help here and there. Let your professors know that I'm going through this, so I'm going to try to figure it out myself, and I need to cut back hours here. It's tough, but scheduling is the most important thing. Having a set daily schedule will help you out. You know that you're allocating this hour to this hour for these classes because you're going to be working on these other hours. So you have that schedule and you stick to it. Knowing yourself and being able to make adjustments is important. Looking at yourself, being able to reflect.
A question that we had earlier, it got dismissed somehow, but did everybody work remotely? Or was it sort of a hybrid, some in office, some remote?
Remotely.
Remotely, totally remote.
Mine was remotely because it was supposed to be in the Seattle. So I was communicating with the Seattle office, but working here in Houston.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Matt. Okay, so a couple more for accounting majors. How many accounting classes And this can apply to all of our majors, not just accounting majors. But how many classes have you taken when you applied for your internship? So basically, were you taking some of your major classes already when you applied to your internships?
The great thing with now, with how all the people's like internships, like trying to get anybody, they trying to get you in at sophomore year. You don't have to have all your accounting, they trying to get you started. They trying to basically put you on the path to come to their company. They trying to, so they have, that's what we with NABA, PAS, and Alpha is really trying to do to let everybody know about accounting. It's just like, you don't have to start there. You like Deloitte, everybody have their little, like PwC had to start internship. And basically they have their start, then they have their advanced start, depends on, like the start could have been sophomore, advanced start could be junior, advanced could be senior, and when you graduate, you have your full-time offer. So just because I started, basically, I'm in my MBA program, so I basically started in my senior year, but I don't have all my 150 hours. That's why. So basically, I'm like still a junior. That's really with them. So now I'm gonna start my advanced. So basically, they give you steps to where you go. PwC, Deloitte, Belton & Melton, everyone has steps for you to go to. So, yeah.
And for the second part of that question, they also asked if there's an requirement as to what classes you have to take before you obtain an internship, and there's not.
No.
The sooner the better. There are a lot of companies and a lot of programs out there who are specifically recruiting for freshmen and sophomore interns as well. So you don't have to have a certain amount of classes. You don't have to wait until your senior year, the last semester, to start looking for an internship. We typically say the sooner the better. You don't want to wait until the last senior year to start looking for an internship. You can have as many internships as you want. In regards to getting the course credit, there are a couple of classes of each major that you have to take before you take the gain course credit for that internship. But if you just want to have an internship, there's no requirement of different classes that you have to take. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think the next question is for Brandon. You had an internship with Boeing that was supposed to be in Seattle. So before COVID kind of rearranged everything, did the company offer to pay for your relocation? Was there any stipends for housing or anything like that?
Yes. So Boeing offered to pay for my housing, which was one of the points that I listed with them. They said, would you be able to relocate? And I said, only if it made sense, because I couldn't move from Houston working, my job here and then move there and, not have any resources. So they were like, we'll pay for your housing and we'll give you a stipend for food. And then also, of course, that won't come out of, your salary. And so that's important, that a lot of these internships, and my first bachelor's was in communications, and I did an intern with CNN and a couple others, and they did not pay. So it was something new for me to see going into the business world, that these internships pay, and they pay pretty well compared to the jobs I've been working. So I was really appreciative about that. But yeah, all expenses were paid in that regard.
Thank you. And then next question, do any of you guys pay for LinkedIn Premium, and do you recommend having that account?
I'll take that one. I used to have to pay for LinkedIn Premium. I don't believe that the features that premium for the $300-400 they charge a year is going to give you anything more beneficial other than if you're applying for a job and it shows you a couple extra things such as the number of people that have applied for that job. The networking, the number of networks you have, connections is what's going to matter to see who's going to see what they see on your LinkedIn. I personally reached out when I first started getting on LinkedIn. I didn't do it till about 4 years ago. Right now, I have about 10,000 connections. Don't just assume that a connection is not going to accept you just because you don't have experience, you don't have a lot of connections. I accept everybody from whatever field they're in because someone's going to know somebody who's going to know somebody else, and they're going to help you find something. As long as you're positive and have that attitude that your content is, you know, somewhere to what you're going for, people are willing to share content all the time, and you're going to get that recognition and build up that repertoire of connections.
Thank you. Great advice. And then one more. Where is a good place to look for an internship? Where did you guys find your internships? I know a couple of our panelists were at a conference, but what websites or tools do you guys recommend?
I have an answer to that question from my side. I actually, I didn't get my internship at Boeing through UHD. However, the job I'm currently working at, Apex Energy Solutions, I got through Gator Hired. They did a listing, and I had my resume up, it passed the VMOC, and I was offered the position within maybe 2 weeks of posting on Gator Hired and applying to the job. So I would highly recommend Gator Hired, and also the NABA, that's a big one, and then LinkedIn and Indeed.
Thank you.
My original internship, actually, my first one came through my program director. They actually reached out to her, who reposted it back to us in the program. But then my second one, as I stated, I got through LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you so much. And I believe that was our last question. So look at us being on time. So if that is it, thank you guys so much for your attention, and our panelists, thank you guys so much for coming on and giving your experiences. I know this has really helped all of our students to get a little bit more of an insight on, you know, your experience and your internships, especially now due to COVID. If you guys don't know, we are recording this session and it will be up on our YouTube page. So it will be emailed out to everyone who registered. So if you want to see a playback for that, you can just check out our YouTube page where that will be. All right. So thank you guys for attending. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
You have a great day. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy your week, Gators.